Okay, here's my modified Bushwhacker stove. This camera does not focus on the fly very well, so you'll just have to bear with me if it gets a little fuzzy in places doing close-ups. You should be able to see well enough. 1 quart paint can, bottom cut out. Progresso soup can. A sort of a medium-ish canned corn can. About 1/3 of a half coffee can, as a half-size cans. The lid for your paint can, and just some kind of a plastic lid that'll fit over the end of your paint can here. Alright. The paint can, a note. New paint cans have an extended lip right here. You'll notice this one's kind of ragged, chewed up. They have an extended lip that will keep the Progresso can from fitting in there, just barely, unfortunately. So if you can only find the new cans, you are going to have to clip that lip off. I used a Dremel cutting wheel. It worked pretty well. Everything else just made a mess of the cans. You'll notice 1/2-inch diameter holes. Spend $15, buy a Unibit. They make really nice holes in sheet metal, much better than a punch, and they're worth every penny. It'll frustrate the hell out of you trying to do this with a regular bit, and it'll probably just make a mess. The paint can has small, about 1/8-inch diameter. I think there's 6 or 8 of them on the top. Those are in the plans. 1/2-inch holes at the bottom. There's 6 on the bottom of the inner can and outer can. Drill and measure these very carefully so that they line up. Otherwise, your stove will suffocate. If they don't line up properly, like say you're a little bit off, so you have to line up this hole with this hole, and it won't line up properly if you line up that hole with this hole, it's just going to be a huge pain in the butt to use. So measure them carefully so that no matter how you rotate it, the holes will always line up properly. And you can offset them to limit airflow if you want to simmer or keep your fire burning for a while without having to tend it. Fits right down in there. The lip of the soup can holds it right in there perfectly. Works out real nice. You'll notice I've got a little hole that I got a little bit aggressive there and knocked a hole in the bottom. Be careful about that because you'll burn a hole in your porch like I did. Pretty self-explanatory. Air holes, I think they're about 1 inch between center. I just kind of knocked as many in there as I could reasonably without impeding the structural integrity of the can. The pot holder, 1/2-inch holes on the top, and then you just clip them off with an angle grinder, Dremel cutting wheel, whatever, so that they're most of a circle there. And then more 1/2-inch holes along the bottom. If you wanted to get crazy, you could even do another row of holes, but you're going to start getting a little flimsy, and the wind will start influencing your fire a bit more than you really want. Sits down right perfectly on top of that lip, like it was practically made for it. It's got about a 2.5 by 1 inch, give or take, hole there for feeding it wood without taking your pot off. Be careful about this. Don't make this little space too slim, or that'll break right off the first time it heats up. I did it one time. Nice thing about this, when you're not using it, you want to store it, drops right in there. Canned corn. There should be a little grate, like a little hardware cloth grate down in there, just to hold the wood up above the bottom holes so that there's always airflow and ash isn't going to block those holes. This, I just cut out as much metal off of it as I could without completely having it fall apart. When you're not using it, you drop it in there. You can even burn wood with it in there. It doesn't impede airflow enough to really matter. I could have probably even come up with a better design so that it didn't impede airflow at all, and then you never have to remove it. But it's easy enough to just pop it out of there. And when you want to switch to Esbit, hexane, or solid alcohol, that can is just a little bit too deep. There's too much space between the fuel and your pot for it to really be very efficient at all. You just flip it upside down, forms a nice little shelf in there. It's still below your oxygen holes there, so you get some good airflow. You take your paint can lid, fits right over there. And then this one doesn't quite fit. I haven't found one that fits perfectly yet, but just pop it over there so you can keep things together. You can fit some kindling down in there, maybe your strikers, your matches, lighter, whatever, a little county comm lighter or something. And I think that's about it.